Shalom, curious souls! That's a Hebrew word used as both a hello and a goodbye while literally meaning peace. Today, we're visiting with Jewish friends. It's Friday night, and we've been invited over as guests for a Shabbat dinner at my friend Rachel's house. Make sure you've got your guided viewing handy to record the key elements and significance of everything we look at today. Let's head in together. Shabbat or Shabbos is the Jewish Sabbath or day of rest. It begins on Friday evening and lasts until Saturday evening. It's a time to pause from the busy week and focus on what matters most: family, community, and spiritual growth. Jewish people observe Shabbat as part of one of the 10 Commandments, which says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God." Shabbat is observed differently depending on the level of religious observance. Many Jewish people attend services at their synagogue on Friday or Saturday to pray, hear readings from the Torah, and connect with their community. Some people also alter their activities to avoid working using technology or even driving, depending on their level of observance. Shabbat usually starts with the lighting of 2 candles, often done by the mother or head of the household. This marks the transition from the work week to sacred time, inviting peace and light into the home. Next is the Kiddush, a blessing over the meal. This blessing celebrates the holiness of Shabbat, reminding everyone of the covenant between God and the Jewish people. Then it's time to eat and enjoy. Shabbat meals are special, often including traditional foods like chicken soup, kugel, and desserts. And of course, my favorite, challah bread. As Shabbat comes to a close, families gather for Havdalah. This ceremony, with its braided candle and sweet-smelling spices, marks the end of sacred time and the beginning of a new week filled with blessings and sweetness. Okay, I'm going to enjoy this celebration and meal with my friends. Take a moment to record the key elements of the Shabbat dinner and why they're significant. Feel free to review this section as needed. I'll meet you back at the library tomorrow. Hello again, and welcome back to the Library of Faith. So last night we talked about the Shabbat meal. Now, what makes the Shabbat meal different from a regular dinner in a Jewish household? Well, there were several rituals, right? Like the lighting of the candles, the Kiddush, and the Havdalah. These words, actions, and symbols all represent important values and beliefs of Judaism, like the covenant with God. Jewish life is filled with rituals to mark important moments known as life cycle events. Each one is a meaningful milestone celebrated with family, friends, and the community. Last night, my friend Rachel offered to share her family photo album with us so we could see what these events look like. Let's look at a few of those. Here we see the day of Rachel's bat mitzvah, a moment she'll never forget. At 13 years old, she stood before her family and community, marking her transition into spiritual adulthood. The bat mitzvah, or bar mitzvah for boys, is a ritual that many, but not all, Jewish young people take part in. Here's the Devar Torah, part of the ceremony where Rachel gave a speech sharing her thoughts on the Torah portion she had studied. It was a chance for her to reflect on its meaning and how it connected to her own life. And here's the celebration afterward. Friends and family gathered to mark this important milestone with music, dancing, and delicious food. Becoming a bat mitzvah, or daughter of the commandments, meant that Rachel was responsible for observing the mitzvot. It's a significant step in her spiritual journey, reminding her of the important role she plays in her family, her community, and her faith. Let's see what's next. Oh, here's Rachel's sister Sarah on her wedding day. In Jewish tradition, the couple stands beneath a chuppah, a wedding canopy symbolizing the new home they will build together. The chuppah is open on all sides, just like their home will be open to family and friends. The wedding ends with the breaking of the glass, an actual glass. This is a moment that carries deep symbolism. It reminds everyone that even in times of great joy, we remember the fragility of life and the trials of the Jewish people through history. Let's turn the page. This looks like Rachel's grandfather. I remember visiting the house while the family was sitting Shiva after he passed away. Have you ever heard of sitting Shiva? Shiva is a 7-day period where the family gathers to mourn, share memories, and find comfort. During this time, they recite the Kaddish, a prayer that praises God and reaffirms faith, even in grief. How do you think a ritual like this might be helpful in the mourning process? Well, it could be helpful because the rituals might make them feel connected to their faith and give them comfort, knowing that their loved one is being honored in a meaningful way. Take a moment to record the key elements of these life cycle events and why they are significant. Feel free to review this section as needed. Now, Jewish life isn't only about marking important events in one's life. It's also about gathering together throughout the year to celebrate, remember, and reflect as a community. Let's turn the page and explore another important part of Jewish life, the holidays. Did you know that Jewish holidays follow the Hebrew calendar, which is lunar-based? So each month begins with the new moon. Because lunar months are slightly shorter than the months in the Gregorian calendar that most of the world uses, Jewish holidays move around a bit each year, as you can see here. Each holiday tells a story and carries its own traditions. What Jewish holidays are you familiar with? First, we have Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. It's a time for reflection and renewal. Here you can see what Rachel's family eats on Rosh Hashanah, sweet foods like apples and honey, hoping for a sweet year ahead. And in synagogues, the shofar, a ram's horn, is blown as a wake-up call to start the year with purpose and reflection. 10 days after Rosh Hashanah is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This is the holiest day of the Jewish year. This is the Yom Kippur meal from when Rachel was in college. On this holiday, Jewish people focus on atonement, or seeking forgiveness and making amends, as well as renewing their relationship with God. Many people fast for the day, attend services, and then break the fast with a meal together. By the end of Yom Kippur, many people feel spiritually refreshed and ready to move forward. Oh, I think I recognize this one. This is matzah, or flat, unleavened bread, and it's eaten on Passover. The matzah commemorates the account of the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, during which they ate flat bread made without yeast. The highlight of this holiday is the Seder, the special meal where families retell the story of the Exodus, when the Israelites gained their freedom from slavery in Egypt. Each item on the Seder plate tells part of the story. For example, the bitter herbs and horseradish symbolize the suffering they endured. Traditionally, there is also a bowl of salt water on the table to represent the tears of enslaved Israelites. Now, this next one is probably the best known Jewish holiday, even though it's definitely not the most religiously significant. Any guesses? If you said Hanukkah, you're right. Hanukkah is also known as the Festival of Lights. According to tradition, a small amount of oil, enough for just one day, miraculously burned for 8 days during the temple's rededication. In memory, families light the menorah, like this one, adding a new candle each night. They also exchange gifts and enjoy festive games like spinning the dreidel, and foods like latkes and jelly donuts. From the solemnity of Yom Kippur to the joy of Hanukkah, Jewish holidays are a time to gather, reflect, and celebrate. Each one connects families to their history, their faith, and one another. I'll be sure to thank Rachel next time I see her for sharing her family's album with us. Take a moment to record the key elements of these Jewish holidays and why they're significant. Feel free to review this section as needed. For now, I'm going to check in the kitchen to see if there are any latkes or jelly donuts, or even a little matzah. I'll see you in just a minute. So, we've seen a lot today, and I'm so grateful to Rachel for sharing her family's photos with us. From weekly Shabbat dinners to yearly celebrations like Yom Kippur, and from life's beginnings to its end, Jewish practices bring meaning, connection, and joy. And they're all full of symbols and rituals. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Next time, we'll be looking at the tremendous variety in beliefs and practices among different groups in Judaism. Stay curious, and until next time, Shalom!
Hey, hey.